One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Tai Brown and welcome to One Question. I'm here at the 2018 AFCA Convention and I'm joined by Coach David Cutcliffe. Coach Cutcliffe is the head football coach at Duke University. He's been there for 10 years and 42 years overall in the coaching profession. Greetings, Coach Cutcliffe. Thanks for joining us.
Tai, it's great to see you, and I'm very appreciative of the work you're doing. And, the profession is all about athletes and athletics, and I think we both have the same focus in that regard.
I think we do, Coach. Now, you have been great at creating and maintaining an environment for success that people want to be a part of. And I noticed that one of the things you do is you hire young coaches and develop them so they can go on to be successful head coaches in whatever it is they do themselves. What was your philosophy on when you became a head coach, and specifically now at Duke, on creating that type of environment?
I think the first thing that I realized that taking and coaching young coaches, and certainly I love coaching football players, and that's been a big part of everything that you do or decide. But when you take young coaches and you get them on a career path to where I've got 25, 26-year-old coaches that they're going to coach the next 40 years, well, the message continues to be carried. You're actually affecting more young people's lives in a positive manner by focusing on young coaches. So I am proud to say that we just hired our fourth graduate assistant has been elevated to a full-time position in our staff at Duke. They're all still there, which is great. They recruit well, they mentor well, they coach on the field well. The thing about culture is defined as a large group of people that have similar, if not the same, habits.
Right.
So our philosophy has been this: to create a culture that the most important thing within that culture is relationships. You got to pick a lot of things that you got to do well in the coaching profession. But if you look at things like Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, you need to find something that you think you can be better at than anybody else in the world. And that's not a silly statement. One of the things that we can all do better are be loyal in our relationships, real in our relationships. If we don't do anything but teach young people that, we got a better world.
Yes, sir.
So I think that's been a big part as we've moved forward, what our focus has been on a day-to-day operation at Duke.
The things you're saying, Coach, I've seen you do it for a long time, and it's ironic. Well, maybe it's not ironic. It's probably deliberate that you're at Duke with Kevin White, who seems to operate the same way. There are people all over the country who have come through a system of his, started off young, and now they're athletic directors and senior level positions around the country.
I have never known anyone in any business, not just athletics, that has developed more leaders than Kevin White has developed. He's done it within his own family. Let's face it. Look at his children. So many of them, they're all involved in education, some form or fashion, whether it's coaching or director of athletics, as Danny White is now at Central Florida. But it goes far beyond family. I think everywhere you look in this profession, you find directors of athletics, assistant directors of athletics that have been touched by Kevin White. The other thing he's done is that his influence has been a big part of what we've decided to try to accomplish at Duke. He has to allow that environment.
That's true.
To grow your young people, to build, and to build maybe sometimes the slower process of building. We don't want to microwave our program at Duke. And if we didn't have a director of athletics like Kevin White, and that's what I would tell ADs around the country, don't try to microwave your department. Don't try to microwave any of your programs, your sports programs. build programs that have great foundations. History tells us that. And I think more people need to be a little patient. When you find the right person to lead a sport, support them, build with them, not just sitting there evaluating wins and losses. When are we going to have a director of athletics that does step up and say, this coach is doing more for young people, more for our institution than anybody can see. Let's not worry as much about the record today. We're building toward the future. Now you got a director of athletics that's like Kevin White.
Yeah, well, there are two things here that I'm going to throw at you and see what you say about them. The first one is a philosophy I have that is that leaders need to ask themselves, is working for you more than just another paycheck, right? And especially with young folks, right? Because young people leave leaders, they don't leave organizations, right? And the second thing is putting it back in the bucket, right? As a coach, you come up through the profession and people pour into you. And now, especially you, I see you pouring into young coaches, not even just at your institution, across the country. Can you talk a little bit on both those things? Is working for you more than just a paycheck, and then putting it back in the bucket?
I think it starts with this philosophy. Our country's greatest resource, really our planet, the way the world is today, but let's talk about our country. Our country's greatest resource is our youth. It always has been. It always will be our future. So if you're going to make an investment into something, invest in our youth.
I agree.
So as we look at all the aspects of teaching, educating, mentoring, if the relationships aren't real, I never really understood, a few years ago, one of the words was, hey, be real, man.
Oh, yeah.
But young people say, you got just be real.
Yeah, right.
Well, they're really defining the relationship. They want truth, and they want value in that relationship. So to keep a guy from feeling like it's just a job, you got to make him an owner. Once he becomes an owner, once he is totally committed to the organization, now you have a defined relationship that's meaningful to that young person.
Yes, sir. I agree. Well, this has been excellent, Coach. I'm glad I was able to get a couple minutes of your time to sit here and join us on One Question. And I, like a number of people here at the AFCA and across the country, appreciate what you do for the game, the profession, and really in general, since sports is the window to the world.
Well, I appreciate it, Ty. And you've done that. You've been a part of the AFCA. Now you're out trying to educate people in a world that you're very familiar with what needs to be done. So there's a lot of wisdom, and that's one of the reasons I was looking forward to having this conversation. I like what you guys are doing. It's important. I would encourage all young people in athletics administration to pay close attention to the messages that are being sent out through this resource.
All right, I appreciate it, Coach. Thanks very much for joining us here on One Question.
Thanks, Ty. It was fun.
That was Coach David Cutcliffe. He's the head football coach at Duke University. And this is Tai Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.